2022. These awards are a joint initiative of Housing Europe, the International Union of Tenants, and Delphis, and today we will hear who are the winners of the 4th edition of these awards. The jury have received 70 submissions from 20 countries. Therefore, I think they have had a very challenging work to choose who are the winning projects and who are awarded today. Personally, I find awards a good way to actors to aim for desired objectives. I would like to think that it just winners, but all submissions can be very inspiring for practitioners and policymakers too. Before we invite some people to greet you and the jury members to announce the winners, we would like to thank European Investment Bank for being co-sponsor of today's ceremony, and the Council of European Development Bank for being the bronze sponsor. Without their contribution and support, this ceremony today wouldn't be possible. Now I will invite representatives of Housing Europe, the International Union of Tenants, and Delphis to greet the audience. Mari Linder, President of the International Union of Tenants. Welcome. Madsen, President of Housing Europe. Welcome. And Anne Beluli, delegate members of Delphis, please welcome.
So am I standing right now? Great. Thank you all for being here. This is like the Eurovision song, not song contest, it's the housing contest. It's going to be exciting to see what the jury has come with. As the president of the International Union of Tenants, I'm proud to take stage together with Housing Europe and Delphis. And it's also wonderful to meet you all after the pandemic. We are coming together at a time when Erin Awards are more relevant than ever. Because even before the pandemic, there was a facing housing crisis where the lack of affordable housing were being felt all over Europe. And the situation has not improved since. On the contrary, many tenants are experiencing difficult realities with security of tenure, rent increases, both due to renovations, but also because of the impact of increasing interest rates. That's why I'm happy that we be here at the Erin Awards, because every application has been submitted representing good initiatives and ideas. This is exactly what we need in order to inspire the housing sector to find new solutions and strengthen tenants across all over Europe. If we stand together, we are a part of a solution. And I really think that we are a part of a solution as working together with Housing Europe and with Delphis. And therefore, I ask Bent to continue what will happen in this exciting. Yeah.
I have to borrow your microphone.
Yes, and I can take that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. When we stand here and say welcome to this ceremony, everybody in this room thinks, not so much talk now. We would want to know who are the winners of the 5 categories. But I have a very, very, very long speech here. I hope you have patience. No. I know you will say it. But what is the purpose of this? It's inspiration. It's inspiration how we can inspire each other. It's the purpose of the whole festival, but especially of these prizes. So, as you have said, and you said just a moment ago, everybody are winners in some respect because we have over 70 who has applied for it, very good projects. And when we go a little bit further, we have a jury which has had a very, very, very hard work, but what they had to do was to choose between 23 projects. And these, when it's narrowed down to these 23 projects, it was a very hard task to do it. And it's in 5 categories. And remember, every one of you who's here now, you can, some of the people who has applied these projects are in this room today. So a lot of inspiration can be gathered in this room today. And you also have to be aware when you look at the different projects, the winners, and also the 3 projects. We have the names, we have the contacts, and you can go back and seek this inspiration. Welcome. When we started, sorry, when we started this in 2019, the first time we had this Responsible Awards, the last time we had Responsible Awards, it was before the pandemic. And little we know that only a few months after we have had that prize, the whole world was turned upside down. And what I think has been very interesting is when you look at the sectors we have, we call them cooperative housing, municipal housing, non-profit housing, non-social housing. But what is it? What are we doing? It's housing for welfare. That's it. That's what we are doing. And we discovered, and the society discovered, what is so important about our sectors. And there has been a long trend, I think, during the last 5 or 6 years, and gradually people have been more and more aware that our sectors is essential for a welfare state. But during the pandemic, it was obvious for everyone. And you have done a lot of work around in Europe, also around the pandemic. We have had a team of 15 housing experts coming from the European Commission, the European Investment Bank, Tenants Union, urbanists, European cities, and it has been chaired by Barbara Steenbergen, the International Union of Tenants. She's resided in Brussels on a daily basis. And as I said before, it has not been easy for them. They had dived into 5 categories. As some of you remember last time, said, wow, wasn't it 4 categories? Now it's 5 categories because of the pandemic. But the first category, it's about access to funding. And the first day here in the Housing Festival, it is a paramount thing to get easy access or better access to funding. So fair financing for housing affordability, it's important. It's one of the prizes here. It's one of the categories. And then another category is around decent living conditions. And when we look at a dwelling, when we look at a house, it's much more than 4 walls and a roof. It's about welfare. That's what I said before, housing for welfare. So this prize is about how can we have a link between this bricks and mortar and the contribution to the welfare state. So it's very essential in relation to what we are doing in our different sectors. Then we have a prize around sustainable construction and renovation. And it's called Leaders of Innovation, Agents of Fair Energy Transition. And fair energy transition, it becomes more and more important. We have to look in our sectors on green sustainability, social sustainability, and economic sustainability. All the three legs of sustainability is so important, especially in our sectors. We have increasing rents. When we do renovation and when we save the energy, we have to do it in a cost-effective way. Then we have a prize, a little broader category, ensuring better housing conditions, building strategic alliances, fostering community participation. And this prize, what is it? In the essence, when we look at our housing sectors, we are doing so many things. The bricks and mortar, the planning, what we do in social intervention in the areas, about elderly people, about young people, many, many different alliances we have, all of us. And when we succeed, when we are doing our job very good, all these pieces are put together in a big puzzle, and you got the whole picture, and you can move the society in a better direction. So this is what this prize is about. And then there's the final prize, the prize number, or the final category number 5. And it's not about to prize, of course, the COVID crisis, but it's about going the extra mile, inspired from it, and going the extra mile under extraordinary circumstances, what all of you have done so much during the last 3 years. So that is why we have the 5th category. Now I have 5 more pages, but I don't think I will say anything more, but I will give the floor to David.
Hello everyone, so I'm Anne-Béloulie and I have the honor to represent the office tonight. So I'm a programs manager in corporate social responsibility. So it's a fancy word and I was just curious to see how many people are really familiar with the terms. Can you raise your hands? So just give me a sense in the room. That's what I was scared of. Thank you. Okay, so it's a really complicated and fancy word to talk about responsible housing. Basically, so Delphis, maybe just to introduce us briefly, we are a French network of social housing providers. And we work with our members in our different areas of expertise, which includes responsible housing. So just to introduce the notion of corporate social responsible housing is basically how an organization operates to be more ethical and to beneficiate to the entire society at large. So it's a really holistic approach. And then Madsen just like introduced the category of the awards, and it's an excellent illustration of what corporate social responsibility is. Basically, how do you think about how do you assess and have a strategy to your environmental impact? How do you treat your employee? How do you have a good relationship with your stakeholders? How do you have a good governance? How do you have an economic model that creates jobs in our society? So it's a really holistic approach to think and to have a strong strategy. So the partnership with the 3 partner co-organizers of this event, RUT, Housing Europe, and Delphis, we've been working and we really believe in this for a long time because one of the partnerships we have has almost 10 years. It was the Responsible Housing Initiatives that was started in 2013, so yeah, almost 10 years. And one thing before diving into why you are here tonight to hear about like the wonderful finalists and winners of the European Housing Awards, I just wanted to mention briefly one of the outcomes of this project on CSR, which is the code of conduct. So the code of conduct has been created a couple of years ago, and it's basically a work with stakeholders to highlight principles and objectives across the social housing sector. To illustrate how we can be better responsible housing organizations, to implement that in our organizations. So it's not like a to-do book, it's really just a a really big commitment of values for us to think on how we can embed this in our different sector and organizations. So my call to action tonight, before we move on to the core of the event, is if you're a social housing provider, if you're one of the finalists, one of the winners, and you are not aware of the code of conduct, I would just invite you to take a look at the ARIN website, so the Responsible Housing Initiative website, to discover this code of conduct, the values that we are listed there, and maybe to join us and to sign it to bigger the movement. So now, after this really long introductions, let's go to the core of the event and to discover inspiring and really creative projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Anne, and thank you, Ben, for these opening words. And now let's meet the winners. Our first category will be fair financing for housing affordability. Very important issue. And I invite first jury member, Sandra Schorwater, to take the floor.
I'm sorry I took advantage of this occasion to just let you know that this ceremony is streamed on the YouTube Housing Europe account. So if you would like to have your contact, yeah.
Fantastic, no pressure, thank you. I'll put the winner here for now. Thank you, very happy to be here. I just arrived myself today. Thank you very much. I know that many of you have been here already for a few days. For me, this is the first day, and I think it's just great to see so many people in person, right? It's something that we've taken for granted for so long, but we definitely shouldn't. I have the honor of presenting the finalists of the category Fair Financing for Housing Affordability, which looks at the following characteristics. It looks at highlighting sustainable investment, it looks at minimizing housing costs, and it looks at mitigating real estate speculation. This, of course, has been needed already for a long time, but now, for reasons already mentioned, it's needed more than ever. Inflation, rising energy prices, social cohesion threats, it's all the perfect storm that we need to address. And to weather that perfect storm, I think we need innovative people with their hearts in the right place to come up with solutions that benefit people in need of good housing. So we have many people like that in the room here today. These awards are meant to do two things. They're of course meant to celebrate these innovative people with their innovative projects, but they're also meant to act as a catalyst for change through sharing of best practice. We had a strong selection of projects in this category, but we needed to select 4 finalists, and we've done so. Now, I very much like these 4 finalists because they're all different, pursuing the same goal, but they're from different parts of Europe, operating under different circumstances, so facing different challenges, and they're also having different solutions. But the one goal is, of course, providing affordable and good housing for those who need it. So I think we're getting slides of all the finalists. So the first finalist is the Poznan Social Housing Association, PTBS, in Poland. In this city, like in many cities, they have a challenge to keep young people to stay in the city after their study, as in many cities that's too expensive. They've constructed an affordable housing scheme for young graduates to enable them to stay in the city for a 10-year period with some support after as well. These are university graduates, so they do not have a lot of financial means. Of course, they're set on a career path later, but they can definitely use the help. And obviously, it also very much benefits the social mix within the city. For the second category, we go more towards the southeast of Europe, the city of Tuzla in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's providing affordable non-profit social housing in the city of Tuzla. It's a country with a great history, but of course also with great challenges. The political situation, economical situation, plus the war, which still has impact. The war from the 90s has created quite a lot of vulnerable groups. Until recently, there was no coordinated policy for social housing management, and that's why they have created a non-profit social housing project to replace a temporary settlement which was in place for 25 years which was built after the war but fell into disrepair. For the third finalist, we go a bit closer to here. We go to the Nordics, we go to Norway. I will try. Svartlamon Borgistiftelse. Anybody who can do it better? Go, shout. No? Okay, then I consider that to be okay. So a housing foundation in Norway. Norway has a very specific situation that public housing is a market-based activity. So social housing is almost non-existent in that country. That's why a group of tenants decided already back in the 90s to create their own housing association. They're currently renting out to about 250 tenants, cultivating a strong democratic culture where tenants also contribute directly to building eco-friendly houses. And this DIY approach enables them to keep the rents below market level and of course also address the environmental and climate concerns that we all have. And the final finalist is Yes We Rent, leveraging vacant private property to build up a cooperative affordable housing scheme from the Mataró City Council in Spain. This project is leveraging vacant private properties and building up a cooperative affordable housing scheme. Like many Southern European countries, there is a dramatic lack of affordable rental housing. This project explores social and cooperative economic solutions to generate an alternative supply of affordable housing in the city. And it also tests an original organizational model of a tenants cooperative based on empowerment and self-management. And the glue that binds it all together with this project is that the owners of these empty flats get a subsidy to renovate, provided that they, of course, then rent out that vacant property. So I would like to congratulate all the finalists and maybe a round of applause for all of them. The winner. Now, since I'm the first one, I would like to ask, of course, that we all give a big hand of applause once I've announced the winner. But for the winners themselves, can I ask you to remain seated until after the video of your project has been played? Thank you. And the winner is Yes We Rent.
So, this project grants a new life to vacant flats, providing a solution to supply shortage. Using a cooperative formula, Lurian establishes a fair relationship between the property owners and tenants.
Doncs la situació que ens trobem a la ciutat de Mataró, no? Amb un mercat de lloguer totalment ineficaç, no? Cada vegada més els preus van pujant, no? I moltes veïnes i veïns doncs, no poden accedir a un habitatge. Aquí es crea com la idea del que coneixem com lloguer, no? Que és crear o cercar una cooperativa de llogaters, no? Que a la mateixa vegada que siguin usuaris del propi PAC, doncs també siguin cercador d'habitatges. Llavors, què és el que fa l'Ajuntament? És donar una subvenció per als habitatges de 18.000 euros, més 2.000 euros més per temes de sostenibilitat energètica, garantia totalment del cobrament a canvi de, durant 5 anys, el propietari ens cedeix el seu habitatge per una renta totalment assequible.
Que aquest projecte era arreglar la casa i llavors llogar-la, però llogar-la dient a l'Ajuntament per 5 anys. Em van ajudar molt i en el que era la qüestió de l'obra i el que era qüestió de la paperassa. Va ser molta ajuda que jo us recomano a la gent que ho faci perquè t'ho facilita. Y llavors la cooperativa es lo que te dona esta seguridad.
Vine a Mataró hace 2 años y entonces encontré un piso, un apartamento en el centro que me costaba 560 euros, era un apartamento muy pequeño y la verdad es que no estaba en condiciones nada buenas. Cuando vi los carteles de Lloguer, pues dije, voy a apuntarme a esto, voy a preguntar. Entonces pues encontré este piso y estoy súper contenta, está muy nuevo, limpio y puedo vivir tranquil·lament con mi salari.
Nosaltres el que volem és dotar d'aquest caire més humà, no? I que que no prevali aquesta distància que passa moltes vegades en el món del lloguer, volem reivindicar la figura del llogater i la llogatera responsable i també creiem que la propietària ens ha de veure com a tal, no? I que senti que el seu pis estarà cuidat, perquè nosaltres el que anem a fer als pisos és a viure-hi.
Muchísimas gracias. En primer lugar, hoy me acompaña el Albert, que es el ideólogo, el CAP que ha tirado adelante todo este proyecto. Disculpad, I don't speak English, entonces voy a intentar, antes de poder hablar o poder comentar el proyecto, me gustaría decir dos cosas. Y la primera, sobre todo, voy a intentar decirla en inglés y espero que se me entienda. I want to start my speech seeing in this moment. Please, everybody, give peace and change, and no more wars in the world. There are nothing to kill or die for. Y en segundo lugar, me gustaría decir que es un honor para mí recoger este premio, representar al Ayuntamiento de Mataró, la ciudad que me ha visto nacer y crecer. Y por otro lado también es un placer poder estar en este foro, ¿no?, donde tantas personas trabajan en aras o en pro, ¿no?, a un derecho que no sé en otros lugares, pero en España, ¿no?, es un trabajo constante para poder generar igualdad de oportunidades y llenar de contenido el derecho a una vivienda digna. Así que es un placer ver, y me llena de energía, ¿no?, ver a tantas personas que trabajan en pro de este derecho. Muchísimas gracias.
I try to translate a little bit. Just I will repeat to thank you all the organization for considering the project as an initiative to be recognized with this prize. She said that is for us an honor to be in this forum with people working hard to defend and to make real the life of housing. That's what she said. Thank you.
So congratulations, you have very inspiring and interesting project, and just yesterday I was right here talking as a panelist about this co-housing project, and I think this hopefully will be mapped also on the new database that they are creating, the TU Delft. But I have some questions for you. So, how you were inspired to do this project?
En un primer momento, ¿no?, es lo que estamos explicando en el vídeo, ¿no?, creo que se daban varias casuísticas en la ciudad y en el resto de, seguramente la mayoría de territorios, donde habían muchas viviendas vacías, mucha necesidad de vivienda y a la misma vez precios donde el mercado ya no da solución para alternativas, ¿no?, a los diferentes jóvenes o personas que realmente pues, quieren desarrollar una vida, ¿no? Entonces, creo que la casuística, ¿no?, dio lugar, ¿verdad?, a de qué manera podemos movilizar viviendas, generar nuevas oportunidades y a la misma vez, ¿no?, que es el proyecto, bueno, el hecho de la innovación de este proyecto, ¿no?, de qué manera la sociedad se autoorganiza para poder ser un activo más, ¿no?, dentro de la sociedad en la búsqueda, en las relaciones entre propietarios e inquilinos, en pasar de ser usuarios de consumo pasivo a ser activo, ¿no?, y poco a poco ir generando, ¿no?, una especie de inmobiliaria donde entre todos podamos generar oportunidades, ¿no?, o sea, fomentar por parte de la propiedad y a la misma vez oportunidades por parte de los inquilinos.
It will be a free translation, but as it said in the video, as it says in the video, we were inspired by the fact that people is facing strong difficulties to access to the rental market, particularly because of the price, because of the shortage in the offer, and because of discrimination, which is an important issue in Mataró. That was the first instrument. The second was the fact that we were considering that there's a strong potential in collaborative instruments, also in not only in building, showing a new building, but also in this scatter market. We were considering that it was much more rational and probably there was a strong potential in gathering together, tenants gathering together to consume collectively and to face the market collectively and not individually. It means a strong possibility to negotiate prices, negotiate conditions, and to become like a new agent in the rental market that would make it more efficient, more responsible, more ethical, and more balanced in terms of power.
How you are able to keep the rents low and ensure affordability?
En un primer momento, cierto es que es una intervención pública, ¿no?, de la propia administración, ¿no? Es decir, de hecho, el hecho de que las viviendas de las propiedades físicas se pongan en el proyecto, ¿no?, una de las contrapartidas, ¿no?, es que tenga que asumir de alguna manera que esté el precio por debajo del mercado, ¿no? Entonces, esto es lo que realmente, a cambio de la confianza, de la seguridad, ¿no?, es el mantenerlo, entiendo que es con el paso del tiempo, supongo que falta una distancia en el tiempo, ¿no?, para ver cómo realmente esto se va estableciendo de alguna manera, porque también es cierto que en el Estado español a día de hoy no hay una limitación de renta que nos permita de alguna manera instalarla de manera fija, por lo tanto la propia intervención, ¿no?, las medidas de fomentación de las propiedades nos permiten también conjugar, ¿no?, el hecho de la renta. Así que espero que en un periodo corto y que, o más vale corto que tarde, ¿no?, podamos de alguna manera establecer y mantener los precios cada vez un poquito más a la baja para que las personas puedan acceder a una vivienda.
Another free translation. No, it's she reminds that in the Spanish, in Spain, in Catalonia now this year, last year we don't have a regulation, therefore the prices are still free and free to be established by the landlords, and it is creating huge problem. We basically want to maintain the price affordable by transforming the market, by creating this new agent that is able to offer the landlords an added value relation. It's not only that I'm renting the flat, it's also that I'm able to offer you another value services, like being able to renovate your flat, to financial renovation, to offer you security and that. And this, with this idea, I think that also transferring this idea to Europe and testing this idea in other places could be interesting to help to make it the market much more responsible and affordable for everyone.
Before I let you take your seat and enjoy your award, I have one more question. How you are going to develop this idea? What are your next steps?
Pues a partir de ahora, bueno, todavía no hemos acabado con el proyecto, así que seguimos captando vivienda para ir aumentando el parque a un precio asequible, ¿no? Y a la misma vez potenciando sobre todo los protagonistas de este proyecto, ¿no? Que no deja de ser la cooperativa del bloc cooperativo, ¿no? Que se formalizó para tirar adelante, ¿no? En un presente y en un futuro inmediato, futuro, bien, espero también, que perdure en el tiempo, la cooperativa de Ayugatés, ¿no? Que es la parte innovadora de este proyecto. Por lo tanto, desde la administración pública, que aún no hemos acabado, ¿no? En un futuro esperamos también seguir interviniendo para seguir de alguna manera colaborando, ayudando, ¿no? Porque en definitiva no deja de ser, no solo es la cooperativa, sino es una oportunidad para toda la ciudadanía, ¿no? Animando también a todas las personas de Mataró, ¿no? Que se unan, que se asocien al bloque cooperativo, que entre todos, ¿no? Entre la administración, entre el bloque cooperativo, entre todos los vecinos y vecinas, seguramente estoy convencida que en algún momento cambiaremos las formas de esta historia, ¿no? En esta materia.
We are at the end of the project, so it means that until October we are still taking new flags into the scheme. I'm adding that also that we are concentrated in evaluation and in transferability, so we want to transfer this idea, and it means that you are all invited the 22nd of September. You are invited all to the final event in Mataró, in which we will explain details which are the learnings and the results of the project. So 22nd of September, you can all put that on the agenda. So as you say, we're still taking class, but the next step for sure will be to keep supporting the cooperative scheme that has been created for the project, which is Block Cooperative, which is the last person that they were explaining. And redesigning our policy to make to leave a space for this and to recognize this initiative as something valuable and something positive for our policy. Let me add, if you don't mind, that we talk about that the project wouldn't be possible without the support of the UIA initiative, Urban Innovative Actions Initiative, for sure. Without the tremendous job and brave job from the team, the partners, the Fundación de Cooperadors, Diputació de Barcelona, which are here in the audience today, Salesians Sant Jordi, and two universities, the Campus Mataró and the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona, and for sure without the great compromise of the people who believe in the project and created this first cooperative of renting flats collectively, that is a cooperative in the field. Thanks a lot for your confidence.
And now it's time for the second category, more than a roof, supporting communities of equal opportunities. Welcome, jury member Yuri Shumeki.
Thank you. Welcome everyone this afternoon. This is the category more than a roof, which Ben described as the housing for welfare. So it's the kind of social category among the five. And this is the category where we are looking for innovation and applicability of projects in the field of providing affordability, ensuring security of tenure, ensuring social mix, fighting against any kind of discrimination or segregation. So this is the basis of I think most of us are doing on a daily basis. was a category where many projects applied. We got altogether 23 projects from 13 countries. So it was really a great variety of projects. The forerunner was Spain, submitting 5 projects. And I'm representing an organization, Habitat for Humanity, which is mostly active in Central and Eastern Europe. And I was super happy that we had 4 applications from this region, 2 from Hungary, 1 from Poland, and 1 from Bulgaria. And I remember when I started to engage in the jury many years ago, there were hardly any applications from this region. I think it's a great progress, and it's generally true for the whole competition that now more and more applications we receive from Central and Eastern Europe. It was very difficult to compare the projects because they covered a wide range of activities. There were several housing first or housing led initiatives, complex renovation projects, new building projects, increasing social services for the tenants, promoting community participation, housing of the Roma, housing of migrants, housing of elderly. So sometimes we felt that we are comparing apples with pears, right? Like pears. So also the difficulty was that should we prioritize projects on the field, or should we prioritize projects which are giving additional services to housing? Should we prioritize innovation versus scale and impact? And after all, what is innovation? It's very context dependent. What is innovative in one country might not be an old story in another country. So with that, we can check the 5 shortlisted projects in this category. The first one is, I apologize for my pronunciation, Achterken Gairloch from Scotland, UK, regenerating a rural highland community. As we understood, this is a small village, both at the same time a holiday destination and an old village with a shrinking demography. And the challenge is how to keep the residents by improving all kinds of services and business opportunities, but also how to serve the people who are coming there for a holiday. And there was a big brownfield in the middle of the town because of a fire, and the community decided to use this empty space where they built new houses, renovated houses, and the whole thing was combined with a lot of community activities, business development, and a lot of dialogue locally. And it led to a regeneration of the whole community, and it could serve as an example of other rural places like this. Next one. It was a housing first initiative by the Principality of Asturias in Spain. We know all housing first. I think the innovation in this project and the big impact was that they used a multi-level stakeholder engagement approach. So they run a lot of consultation at all levels of governance and participatory processes. And as a result, they ended homelessness in the Principality, which is a big impact, and also setting an example for the rest of the country. And also they used this opportunity to raise awareness about homelessness, the true causes of homelessness, and fighting against the stigmatization of homeless people. The next one, we are going to Dublin, Ireland, New Dolphin Park. It was an old rundown multi-apartment building complex, a social housing, and with a very heavy involvement of the elderly people who live there, they renewed the whole building block, made it energy efficient, but is more relevant. From the very beginning of the project, they involved the elderly community members and they redesigned the whole building to really serve the needs of elderly people. And it's now really very tailor-made for this particular community. The next one is Budapest. This is my hometown. It is a housing-led project to provide elderly homeless people home, which is very, this is very innovative in the Hungarian context. The Budapest municipality changed the local regulation so that if you move to an elderly home, which is in the picture, then usually you have to pay a big down payment. And obviously homeless people are not able to do this, but they changed the regulation. So for homeless people, they picked 2-3 rooms in several elderly homes to be able to host elderly homeless people. I have to put on my Hungarian hat now and saying that you probably heard about it, that the Hungarian government, the Orbán government, criminalized homelessness recently, and they changed the constitution even so that you can be put in jail if you are sleeping on the street. And in that context, the opposition-led Budapest municipality created this project, which is a clear message that we care about the homeless. And I guess this is the last project. We are going to Berlin, Germany. It's building new rental flats for newcomers to Berlin. Originally, they were planning to build houses for refugees, but they realized that there are a lot of other newcomers from within Germany coming to Berlin, and they decided to have an integrated project where half of the tenants are coming from the other parts of Germany and half of them are refugees coming from different countries. They built new blocks, which I think are able to host. There are 160 flats, and half of the people are, yeah, I said this. And I think 16 countries are represented among the refugees, and it was a community engagement process from the beginning, and they created a lot of public spaces, intercultural cafes, and stuff like this to help integrate the community. Okay, and the winner is Achtercairn Gairloch, regenerating a rural highland community from Scotland, UK.
Same thing.
We were very interested in the site at Achtercairn because it had been derelict. It was quite an eyesore.
Through the Achtercairn Development Group, effectively, everyone had an opportunity to be involved in the project. I think there was around about 50 different partners involved. The Scottish Government, Highland Council and HIE all played an important role in putting a package together that could support the community and drive the project forward.
We have the master plan of the site based on all the ideas that were put forward. There's so many different elements of it to come together. And we certainly couldn't have done it without the support of the Community Housing Trust.
I think the alternative would be to move away. We explored other avenues. Yeah, I think that saved us from moving away. We wouldn't be able to start to contribute to the community that we really, came to love. I mean, Stephanie grew up here. I've only been here 5 years, but it just feels like home.
The benefits that it's brought are huge, probably more than we had anticipated. So we support local art and craft producers. We've got between 40 and 50 each year who sell a product through the centre. We have 35,000 people used to building every year, both visitors and locals. We use it as a social meeting space, we use tourist information. The cafe is very popular.
Well, locally, people have a choice in housing tenure because there's 5 different affordable housing tenures on the project, all protected in perpetuity as affordable. We've got employment outlets, there's social opportunities for the families, but importantly for us, I think it's the learning that came from the project and the confidence it's given to the communities elsewhere. We've done similar projects now, very much based on the Gear Occupancy.
I'm asking now the representatives of communities housing trust to come. Let's say a few words.
Thank you very much to Responsible Housing and all of the many partners involved. Delighted for Scotland to be recognised and the community enterprise. It's very much a community-driven project. It's delivering a lot of different things for the community, and we hope it will be a learning opportunity for many of you. It's already providing a lot of benefits in Scotland for other communities, and it's been replicated across Scotland now. So thank you very much for the award.
So, how it feels now?
Great. It always helps when you get an award and recognition. It's great. So yeah, the community are at the core of all this work. So it's fantastic for them to be recognized and many partners involved in the project.
Yeah, I think it's not just for you, but for the whole community and all these partners. And I hope you will deliver our congratulations to all of them for this interesting project. But before that, please tell us how this all began. What was the inspiration for this project?
Okay, well, I mean, we had a derelict site that was an eyesore in the middle of the village. We had people and families having to leave the area because there was a lack of affordable housing. And there's a lack of choice in affordable housing. And one of the important elements of the project was to provide a range of affordable housing options, as well as diversifying the economy, creating job opportunities and social opportunities for the young and the education facilities that were produced through the project. A lot of different community elements, not just housing. So it was about providing jobs and incomes for those living in the houses, and making a more sustainable and resilient community.
So this affordability is very important aspect, but what are the other benefits that tenants can now experience?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're living in more secure housing, they've got secure tenancies and affordable ownership in a lot of cases. But they've also got a lot of employment opportunities. You know, people can live and work in the community now, they don't need to commute. The local community company now, as we heard in the film, is an outlet for 50 different local producers, arts and crafts, and garden produce, etc. So that helps with a circular economy. There's also the local air training corps facility for youths. There's a veterinary facility for animals and a commercial shop. So the circular economy has really benefited those living locally, as well as the range in affordable housing.
And how you are, I have understood that you are going to replicate this project. So what are your plans for that? How you are going to do it?
Yeah, well, already the local community company is looking at how they can actually own some of the affordable housing themselves. They were key in facilitating some of the models that are on site now. But we've also delivered a similar projects in different communities on islands such as Skye and different communities. We're working on Collins Ages now. So most of these projects came from the back of the principle that was established in Ireland. And a lot of communities gained confidence from seeing projects like this on the ground and seeing that communities can do it.
I think that's very important aspect, and it's always good if other actors also find inspiration from this project, and I hope this award helps also not just in your country and in your region, but in whole Europe to find some new ways to understand and do housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Too used to be here, so sorry. So we have some more categories to come, and now it's time for category 3. Leaders of innovation, agents of fair energy transition. And I welcome to remember Tina Winkels, Director of the Dutch Union of Tenants. Welcome.
Because it's my cousin Rowan here. Because he lives in Helsinki and he promised to come, but he's not. I don't see him, which means we can be open and frank. That's good. But I know as a Dutchman in Europe, we are considered terribly rude. So I would like to ask you to not come forward and punch me in the face, right? It's not the Oscars. It's just, well, let me just take my jacket off just in case. Right, I am the rapporteur on energy and energy efficiency and innovation and the projects in that area. We had some 20, difficult to choose, ranging from a French project that was looking at noise during refurbishment, or a Swiss project that was looking at unemployed specific little jobs in refurbishment, and all sorts of various great projects that just didn't make it. In the end, we choose 5 that were on our list, and of course we choose a winner. And I guess it's better if we go straight to the 5 projects that we chose, just to explain you a little bit about what we liked about it, or at least what I liked about it. Well, here's a French project, a transformation project. So this used to be an office building used by Canal Plus, that some of us may remember, until I believe 2013, and then it was empty until 2018, and then they made plans. And they decided to refurbish it for students with particular, with no income from their parents, so they need a little bit of extra help. And they made all the apartments, they made them out of wood and bio-based material, fixed for 70% in factories to speed up the process. So in retrospective, a great project. If we all know how much offices are empty and available, we know that it's expected that more offices will become available with people working from home. So a lovely project to have on the list here in this particular game we're playing together. What is a challenge? What's the English word? Contest? In this particular competition is the word I was looking for. Aha, and this is in Langreo in Basque Country. That is one of the that is the place where they in Asturias. That's the place where they pour the liquid behind the back, right?
Yes.
If you go to a bar there, they pour it. So you put this glasses here, and then you drink it. And this actually, well, you know, I work for the Dutch tenant union, and I have been working with sustainability for a long, long time. And this is actually what needs to happen. Big building blocks, full of tenants, getting older and older, and they need help, and all their dwellings need to be refurbished. Nothing too spectacular technically, just so many dwellings to renovate to get Europe ready for the energy transition. The people in these blocks, they are saving 60% of their energy from before the refurbishment. Can you imagine with the energy prices of today, if it would not have been done? Can you imagine their costs? So this is what I think is something that we will see, and what I really do hope from the Dutch union, and probably from the International Tenant Union as well, more and more of these projects refurbishing. They've had over 50 tenants meetings in this particular project, which just shows you that the people have something to say about what happens and are included in the project, rather than just being told, here's a project, it starts tomorrow, good luck. All right, next slide, please. Now, if you're in a jury, you already know there's going to come, whatever topic actually, there's always a fantastic project from Barcelona, right? This is the one we have here. It's also a transformation. It's an old industrial, industrial building, and the inside of it is just like in the French situation, made up with wood fully. I think they could have won it, but they said it was for the younger people, and they said it was to people that were between 18 and 35. Well, that insulted many jury members. Otherwise, I would think they were in for a shout. But it's really a lovely project. I think the apartments are 64 square meters, and there are 46 of them. And what I like very much is that there is 5 apartments that are especially for artists. So there will always be an artist influence in this building. And in their application, they also noticed that since the inside of the building is from wood now, it can also be taken away and could in fact be reused as a factory again over 100 years. I thought that was a very special argument. Next slide, please. And then there's the project that reminds me of my children, because it's a development of the 300, not that I have 3, not yet. It's a development of 300 dwellings, and some 96 of those are to let, so they are for tenants. And the development is very holistically and very much on the eco-bio side of it, with communal gardens and a bio market and stuff like that. And they've taken the gardens all the way up to the river. And you can't of course build too close to the river, but you can have gardens there. So they've used some extra space next to the rivers in this particular project, which I think was a little bit unlucky in our scenario because it had already received so many prizes. And then there is the Belgian little town of Halle. Now my first name is Zeno, and I've only once met somebody with the same name, and that was in the town Halle, in the local bar there. And this is one of their first zero energy refurbishments in Belgium at all. And what is particularly interesting is that they found a way to guarantee the energy savings for the tenants. They are in the area, or they were in the area of 800 euros a year, but that's before the rise of the prices. So you can easily think that 100 euro a month is saved here by the tenants at a guaranteed level. Guarantees mean that you have very good monitoring and stuff like that. Of course, they've had lots of meetings. Of course, they're trying to cut down on the refurbishment time. So the time that the people actually have to leave their house or stay in their house while it actually happens. It's a lovely, lovely project. It's almost like the Belgian football team. It looks fantastic, but they're not winning. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens. I really don't.
Right. Nobody comes over, nobody punches. All right, that's all good then. We have the winner, the video starts, and then we'll see you on stage.
No, you have to announce it.
Have to announce them.
Yeah.
Sorry. Where is Paris Habitat, the first building that you saw in Paris?
Hi everyone. Firstly, on behalf of the 3,000 Paris Habitat staff members, I would like to thank a lot Housing Europe, Delphis, the IUT, and all the distinguished members of the jury for this so fantastic but unexpected awards. Are you ready for a brief presentation of our company and our winner project? So, here it is.
Paris Habitat is a non-for-profit public company linked to the city of Paris, which houses 1 Parisian out of 9. With over 125,000 social rental units, we actively contribute to social mix in the city. We are also involved in shaping the urban environment through the construction of other public amenities, such as schools, social residences, or public libraries. Being the main social housing player in Paris, we feel responsible for pushing forward new ways of building, which are more in line with local and international sustainability goals. We are transforming our practices to promote bio-based materials, the circular economy, renewable energy, and biodiversity.
The evolutions in the organization of the city, in the uses of its inhabitants, led certain places and buildings to obsolescence. Faced with the housing crisis and property constraints of a dense city like Paris, it is essential to take into account the buildings that already exist and to imagine how to convert them. At Paris Habitat, we are increasingly taking advantage of opportunities to transform vacant premises and completely restructure them. This is a way of rebuilding the city. The objective of Berthelot project is to convert an office building into a student residence of 150 units for social rent.
To limit the impact of the construction sector, it's necessary to renew our ways of building and take advantage of construction techniques that allow energy-efficient construction. In this way, we propose to rehabilitate the building by filling it with prefabricated wood panels with biosocial insulation, such as bale of straw. The project uses a rapid construction technique. This insulation, the straw, is natural and high-performance material with lower cost. The low weight of the wooden frame and the straw make it possible to create important walls directly in factory. Obviously, the straw comes from near Paris. Using local materials to build is an essential issue today to limit the production of greenhouse gas effect. We wanted nature to be present everywhere in the project, every time you return at home or go to the rooftop, and finally also in a structure.
I'm impressed. Good evening, everybody. First, thanks a lot for the jury, for the prize, and excuse me, and second for my English. I think I read my paper. It's for me a very good night, a good day, a moment, and a word for this project, which symbolize all the commitment of Paris Habitat and all employers for building a low carbon city, but a city which includes also social and societal issues is very important, not just climate, but social. in Paris. A city which has been accompanying us to rethink, excuse me, the way of building it to world with nature, to world with existing, to world with patrimonial, and to act with all above for others. It's really important. Carrying out a project like Bertolt residence, excuse me, implies to respond of the emergency, excuse me, of private homes for all, but also to take account of the variety of aspects, then urban, architectural, patrimonial, social context. This existing building and is potential for transformation. Have to stop, of course, to destroy the building, demolition, excuse me. How to take this opportunity to include climate goals and social goals. How to evaluate financial investments in terms of global cost. Of course. With all these aspects, I mean, we delivered this project in attend the young people, and often poor young people, and all of them to study, I think, in the best condition in Paris, a town who is very difficult to live, to rent the flat. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you very much. You raise such interesting and important issues in your speech, but I still have some more questions for you. But before that, I would like to congratulate you for your award. And before the COVID-19 pandemic, I have been organizing probably dozens of seminars around refurbishment and how to improve energy efficiency and use this existing building stock. And I know it is very important, very important issue, and many all over to Europe, and I think especially now, looking for inspiration and new ideas and models. So therefore, I would like to ask, how do you got inspiration for this project, and what do you think is the most innovative element in your project? Because I think that's something, this innovation, new things you did, and how you do and how you did it. That will be interesting for many.
Thanks a lot. So yes, regarding the innovation, I think it's a bit difficult to choose one single element. We really think it comes down to the fact that this project was able to address a variety of challenges simultaneously. And we think it's quite rare in a Parisian project to be able to address at the same time the transformation of office space, technical innovation with the use of bio-based materials, wood and straw insulation in this case, and also to think about quality of life for the future residents in terms of housing, but also common spaces, yeah, and also obviously access to affordable housing for young people, which is very much an issue, not only in Paris, but especially in Paris, we are lacking student housing. So we're really happy that this project can contribute to that.
You already mentioned it some, but like common spaces and like that, but what are the other benefits for the tenants of your project?
Yeah, for us, really the essential point is to provide students. So these are students that rely on scholarships who are based on their family background and on their parents' income. So it's important for these students to have access to quality housing and a quality living environment. And just to give you an idea, these housing units, they're about half the price of a regular housing unit on the private markets, and they're also twice the floor area. So we really think this is important to give students the chance to study in good conditions. That's the main thing.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. And that's why I think that this will not be the last project, or are you developing this, or what are your next steps?
Yes, so as you can guess, the next step is to reproduce with a similar approach to apply it to new projects. And we want to keep focusing on transformation, looking also at other spaces such as garages, schools, and in general, we would like to apply this principle to all our construction and rehabilitation projects. But yeah, above all, I would say it's to reinvent our programs and to experiment to keep experimenting technical and social innovations.
Sounds very good, and I hope that we will find detailed information about these technical innovations too sometime soon. Thank you very much. And now it's time for the fourth category, building strategic alliances fostering community participation. And I will invite Michaela Kauner, Director of Vienna House Brussels Catholic Reform.
Mistakes of the others, so I do it right and stand here. But I want a big smile of everybody. We will send this to Barbara Steinberg, who cannot be with us today. Hey. Great. Thank you. See, I can speak without a microphone. So I'm very happy to be here with all of you. My name is Michaela Kauer from the city of Vienna. It was a pleasure to work in this jury, distinguished jury. We had a lot of fun too, I can assure you. And our category today, my category, which I have the honor to present, is about building strategic alliances, fostering community participation. So let me just put it very clearly. Bengt has already mentioned a bit about it. It's a strategy, it's a category about governance, good governance when we're talking about housing. And when we talk about that, we talk about strategy and structure, we talk about the goals and the aims, we talk about different levels of governance, which we have also seen very well reflected in the variety of projects we had in that category. And it's a category, in my view and in our view of the jury, that is strongly linked to democracy in all kinds of forms and again on all levels. We all know that housing corporations cannot do it without their tenants. Cities cannot do it without their citizens. Business cannot do it without their employees. And housing policy cannot do it without a right-based approach. So we have received a lot of interesting projects from different countries and regions and cities. And many of them had a very strong focus on how to develop their work with a broader community, with a broader alliance of stakeholders. And one of the most important stakeholders in this process is always the one who is living there, the tenant, the user, the inhabitant. So I'm now coming to our shortlisted finalists. And big surprise again, Barcelona submitted an interesting project. It is mentioned here in the first place because it reflects very much the governance context I was mentioning. Barcelona is really doing a lot to build the right to housing into its whole housing policy system and scheme. And clearly we have restrictions because not everything can be done in Barcelona. Competences are also on the national level, on the regional level, but what they're doing is good. And what they are doing here is they try to take control of land. And they do it by implementing a very interesting new framework, which many of you know as the community land trusts, and the public company for urban regeneration in Barcelona has introduced this new tool to increase the supply of affordable housing on a more structural and institutional level. And they try to allocate, what they do is, in fact, they allocate building ground to nonprofit housing providers. And by using a set of options, making the access easier and less complicated, and avoiding lengthy procedures. And what is very important in the context of governance, they maintain full transparency in the process. So this is the Barcelona project. The next one is, this is a very interesting project from going north now, Denmark, from Aalborg. This project is, I entitled it a little bit for myself, Empowerment Towards Better Lives. In reality, it was named in the application, Empowering Tenants to Co-Create a Strategic Urban Transformation. But what they did in Aalborg with the Himaland cooperative, they were really transforming Aalborg, which was known as Denmark's Chicago, in a way, with a lot of problems, criminal activities, problematic education, or rather non-educated people, and trying to really change the whole pattern and the whole living neighborhood towards empowering people, creating jobs, but they did this by involving a variety of stakeholders. And I think what really is interesting in this project also is that there is a very strong democratic element in it, and it has really the power to be also replicable to other places. So that's Aalborg. Another project surprise from Barcelona. But a very, very nice one. In this project, in fact, it's completely different to the one I mentioned before. It's a rather small project, but it's a very intense project with a set of challenges. In Barcelona, La Casa Bloc, I hope it's right, they were transforming a former nursing home, you can see it behind me, into a building with flats for more people who have numerous vulnerabilities. Women who have been victims of male domestic violence, other forms of discrimination and vulnerability. What is interesting in the stakeholder communication and cooperation here is that social organizations play a very, very important role when allocating the flats and supporting them also to empower them and to make them to gain control again about their their life and their life pattern and their life path. So interesting second project from Barcelona in this category. Yeah, Milano. We all know that one of the biggest problems in the housing crisis for young people is that a lot of them still live with their parents, right? Young adults still living with their parents is an issue. And also it is in Milano. In Italy, it's 60% of the young adults who still live in their parents. Interesting enough, more men than young women do that. Not sure what this means. But in this case, the Milano Youth Coalition decided to, with the help of a foundation, to set up a program to help young people to find affordable homes in a whole variety of home sharing co-housing models. So in total, we have 22 projects to 300 young people who have now found new ways to have a home. My personal would say title for this project is The Next Generation Needs Homes and Hope. So, and the last project, another Italian project, which is here coming from Bologna, Villaggio Gandusio. It's again a program that's coming back a little bit to the idea of renovating and refurbishing and reorganizing deprived neighborhoods. There were a lot of buildings that needed extensive and complex retrofitting, but in fact, what happened is that they used the physical renovation momentum to also create social innovation, involve the residents, accompany them, empower them. And it had a very strong neighborhood-based approach, something we discuss now, even more and more on European level, also with regard to housing policy. And that is, of course, very, very, what I liked especially about the program is that it also encompasses a strong gender dimension. So this is the Bologna project. So now I'm coming to say who is the winner. Da, 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 da. We miss music here. So the winner is Himmerland Vollik Forening in Aalborg, Denmark, for the project Empowering Tenants to Co-create a Strategic Planning.
Jeg bor i Himmerland Boligforening. Jeg bor i det østlige Aalborg. Jeg har boet siden 2011, og jeg er valgt som organisationsformand i Himmerland Boligforening, som er øverste myndighed. Når vi omdanner beboernes lejligheder, er det vigtigt, at de sidder med ved bordet. Det er deres nærområde, det er deres lejligheder, det handler om. De har nogle tanker, som arkitekterne måske ikke har, og det betyder meget, at det er noget, de kan tage ejerskab på og kan føle, her er jeg hjemme, her kan jeg godt lide at være. Det vigtigste for mig som beboer i Himmerland og som beboerdemokrat, det er, at vi som beboere tager ejerskab af de områder, vi bor i og vores lejligheder, og at vi hjælper hinanden og tager vare på hinanden.
Vi så et område, som jo i dag ser noget anderledes ud, end vi gjorde for 10 år siden. For 10 år siden var det her meget gråt betonområde, og med de problemer, som det ligesom medfører. Det vil sige, at der var store sociale problemer ude, der var bandekriminalitet, og så var der naturligvis også et stort antal tyverier. Beboerne har været ekstremt stort aktiv i hele processen. Altså i virkeligheden til de beboere, vi har holdt herude, har der været fantastisk engagement. Fordi man netop tror på det. Og det med at tro på det har også været en vigtig del af hele processen herude. Skolerne, klubberne, bylivet omkring, de handlende, erhvervslivet i området. Alle har troet og holdt fast i historiefortællingen herude. Og samtidig er det lykkedes os at få private investorer ud og bygge private udlejningsboliger på vores parkeringspladser. Og alle sammen har gjort det med det formål at skabe den her fantastiske bydel, det er blevet til.
Det gør mig rigtig glad at bo her i Aalborg Øst, og efter omdannelsen også. Der er rummelighed her, der er stadigvæk masser af grønne områder. Beboerne føler sig trygge, og det med at tage beboerne med på rådet, det tror jeg, at det er noget, man skal vægte højt, også andre boligorganisationer. Så vi hører, hvad betyder noget for beboerne, hvad er vigtigt for dem i deres nærområde.
Alt, hvad der foregår i det her område, alle har spillet med ind og har været så interesseret i, det lykkes. Det er jo det samarbejde, det er jo de partnerskaber, vi kan i Aalborg. Det er faktisk det, som vi kalder Aalborg-model, og som vi synes jo rent faktisk er lykkes. Ja, rigtig godt med. Thank you very much. We are so honored to have this prize. For us, I'm working. I'm working in Himmerland. Is for us as employees in that organization is one of the best days in our, maybe not in our life, but in this month. I can promise you I'll not make a long speech, but just so you can understand that us is so important. It's very important for attendance as well. Together with me, we have the mayor of Aalborg, and that's what we call collaboration. I mean, we can't do this project without the mayor, and I believe that the mayor can have a good city without Himmerland. So now we have a chance to make a comments on that.
Well, I can totally confirm that. I'm so proud of the transition of the Aalborg East area. And the main driver behind that has not been the city council. We've just been co-creators, you can say. The main driver has been Himmerland. It has been the tenants, it's been the people there. And there have been so many resources. And there's so many organizations, peoples, the press who want to talk them down. Say this is an area of problems, this is an area with no perspective and so on. But Himmerland and the tenants and the other sports organizations in the area, they believed in the vision that they could make change. And we facilitated that and supported it. And together we made a huge change. And that's just fantastic and something which I'm very, very proud of.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
In your speech, you said, you both said so nicely about people, how people are important. And a little while ago, I was in Copenhagen, listening about suburban renewal projects and how to prevent segregation in the housing areas in different parts of Nordic countries. And from Denmark, in our group, there was a young man who said that it was a, I don't tell the whole story because we could spend here much longer, but they find, they were creating a new name for a neighborhood, and they took the name of the flower, dandelion, and he explained that how it was, this name was empowering people. Because that flower comes through to asphalt, concrete, wherever. And how you said it, that people made this to happen. So were they the start of this project, or what was the ideas behind?
You know, we are living up in the north of Denmark. We're not so much speaking as the people from Copenhagen, you know, Bent. And when we talk about development in the recent area, we talk a lot about what is area's history, actually. Not a history that Thomas, the people who work with me, a history we make, but that history around the people who lives in that area. And I think you can't change an area without that people. So you have to manage to make the people who lives in that area to understand you're not a part of a project. This is a totally normally living area. Because the problem is many of those kind of areas like east of Aalborg, they have a big problem because the people, the residents who live there have for the past 20 years listened to a history. Oh, which project is in this month and in next month and next year. And when you ask the people who is living in that part, where are you staying? They're not telling the story that they're staying in Aalborg East. They only said we're staying there for a short time, for a short period, but we're looking for another place to live. And they are still that story for the past 30 years. So you can't make any difference without the people who live there. We are living in Denmark in a democratic system, so the citizens have to vote yes for those kind of projects. So in that direction, the people is very, very important.
That sounds very good, but and I hope that we've not never forgotten any project wherever they are made. But could you explain a bit more details how they were involved in this decision-making process?
Yeah, you know, when we started projects, we talk a lot with the local boards of tenants. Oh, do we need to renovate? Yes, we do. And we work with a project. And after that, we have to present that project from people, all the rest of the tenants. And we making some working workshops where we involve the tenants, not just before the vote, yes, hopefully it is here, but also after. So when the working is taking progress and all the workers is coming into the area, we still have a very, very near contact, a lot of meetings with the people who live there. And that's important because I'm not living in that area. It's easy for me to say, oh, you have to leave your apartment for the next 1.5 years. I take my car and go back home. But the people that live in that area have to tell the story to the rest of the people. So that's very, very near to us in the projects and every day, actually. I mean, they own us.
That sounds even better because that's where it should be. We inform all the time because it's refurbishment or renovation or renewal project is not over when you start it, but months after that. So what were the main challenges to overcome? Obviously, people said yes, but there must have been some challenges too.
You know, by nature, I'm very positive. And I think actually the rest of our company and also the most of our tenants is positive people. So I think, I'm not sure, but I know that you ask a question. I wonder what's the biggest problem? To be honest, I'm not sure we have one.
I would say the biggest problem was actually getting started. Yeah, and to build something that people believed in. And what we did actually was that we started off by building a big health house because we couldn't get any doctors in the area. But then we had a discussion with the tenants, and the tenants voted for tearing down 3 building apartments, 3 building blocks. And then we made a very, very huge health house there with doctors and a lot of facilities. And after that, the people began to believe that change could be made. But I think actually that was the biggest challenge. The biggest problem had getting started. But after that, well, it's a good history.
Yeah, actually now I can remember. Actually, the biggest problem was to get some doctors to move up there. That's because you know the name of the area. So but it is nothing compared to what's. I mean, we have a normal day, and the people out there have a normal day, so we didn't have any problems. Quite easy.
That sounds absolutely wonderful, and I think we have learned now that you need to have a positive mind, and you need to make this change visible, and you did it. So you are the winner. Congratulations. Thank you.
Ja, så bind du fingeren på den lins der.
So beautiful.
So we still have one category left. Last 2 years haven't been easy for many of us. Our life has changed a lot, and in many ways, not just in one way. This COVID-19 pandemic has shown the importance of housing, and not just that we have a shelter, but we need quality too. And housing has been, and our houses, our own homes, has been a place of rest and security, to be ill or to be healthy, to be our loved ones. And that's very important. Housing is not just a place we sleep, but where we can be social with our friends and with our family. And I hope that all who are working with housing has learned something very important lessons during this pandemic. And I hope that it will change the course we have been going quite a long time in housing. And I think these awards today already have shown that very positive things can happen and we can change. Maybe not the whole system in one step, but we can start to change. And now it's time for our last category, category 5, going to extra mile in extraordinary circumstances. And I welcome Maja Staleskaya, President of the Housing and Tenant Organization. Welcome.
Thank you. Wow, it's such a great honor to be first part of the jury and to go through the process of reviewing the applications and reading so much great projects. And I hope we are going to wrap up with the last category that I will present, going extra mile in extraordinary circumstances. My name is Maja Staleskaya and I'm coming from North Macedonia, from Skopje, from the Housing and Tenants Organization. This category, as we spoke at the beginning, is a new one, and it shows that even in the hardest times, we can do much more, and we can think of a lot of creative approaches and ways and projects to help the ones most in need, and actually to be more in need for the community, for the society. I think there is no one on the planet who wasn't affected by the pandemic, and this category is actually a great initiative to encourage us more to do more when we're in a state of crisis and we're dealing with something globally. The pandemic is not the only thing, the only problem that we are facing. We are facing a lot of crisis with the refugees. We were in the past, and as the situation is looking ahead, we are going to face new challenges. So being more hopeful and positive, we are encouraging ourselves to do these positive changes. We received at the beginning 7 applications for this category, and we selected 4, the best finalists who are coming from different countries. We're going to present them one by one. Housing body response to the Syrian refugee crisis, cooperative housing from Ireland. The project is providing a home for sustainable communities for family displaced by the Syrian refugees crisis. They have a holistic way to deal with the short notice emergency. They develop strong relationship with the stakeholders and in the provision of housing in order to face this global humanitarian crisis. A great initiative to connect private landlords with refugees. A total of 830 accommodation were placed by the Irish public as part of the initiative. 165 vacancy property were identified nationally. with 665 beds offered to the Syrian refugees. Our second finalists, Arriving Home, a sustainable initiative on combating homelessness in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. GBF Austrian Federation of Limited Profit Housing Association and BAWO Austria. The project is strategic, implementing sustainable strategy to contrast homelessness in a long-term perspective. They use bottom-up approach aimed at carefully matching stable and affordable housing to potential tenants. They allocated 240 apartments for 600 people, housing in 5 regions in Austria. It targeted people most affected by the socioeconomic fallout as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, they have engaged 38 association, limit profit housing association to be part of the project. Prague Humanitarian Hotels, City of Prague in Czech Republic. The primary goals of these hotels for humanitarian purposes was to protect the homeless people from the deadly coronavirus, to control the spread of the virus in the street of Prague, and to ensure that the health system is not overloaded. The project is innovative and has completely new idea in providing accommodation, housing to homeless people. Prevention of viruses to protect the homeless people. Total 6 humanitarian hotels with a total of 353 people were opened in 2020 and 270 more in 4 remaining hotels in 2021. And the last one, Community Startup Pad Digital Edition, Nation Housing Social in Italy. The digital of the Community Startup Pad was organized in the midst of the pandemic with the objective of finding alternative ways to build connection and relationship among the inhabitants of social housing district during the times of isolation and social distancing. So far, the digital community has been tested and implemented in 5 social housing complexes in Milano. It's great to see how the community can get to know each other and improving the digitalization of its on the community. Building approach and spaces and occasions to work on new social housing projects. This is a great way to move forward in digitalization of the community. And now we're going to see who is the winner. GBF Austrian Federation of Limited Profit Housing Association.
Vor mehr Stress. Der Streit ist immer mehr und mehr gegangen. Mein Sohn hat das mit alles bekommen. Ich hätte keine Möglichkeit, weil ich arbeite sehr viel. Ich habe 2 Jobs, aber sehr weniger Einkommen. Ja, ich habe den Kleinen dann auch weggenommen von der Hand und raus. Vor irgendwas noch schlimmer passiert. Es war einfach genug.
Obdachlosigkeit ist eine der schlimmsten Formen von Armut. Sie kann jeden treffen, unabhängig von Alter, Bildung oder Herkunft. In wirtschaftlich schweren Zeiten steigt das Risiko, dass Menschen ihre Wohnung verlieren. Darum müssen wir gerade jetzt Wohnungs- und Obdachlosigkeit langfristig entgegenwirken. Zu Hause ankommen stellt sicher, dass Menschen in existenziellen Schwierigkeiten leistbar wohnen können.
Das beste Mittel gegen Wohnungslosigkeit ist eine eigene Wohnung. Deshalb arbeiten wir bei Zuhause ankommen nach dem Housing First Ansatz. Zum ersten Mal setzen wir Housing First in mehreren Bundesländern und auch auf strategischer Ebene um. Sozialorganisationen, Wohnbau und Politik arbeiten hier eng zusammen und garantieren, dass wir auch wirklich schnell helfen können. Auf dieser Basis können dann auch neue Housing First Programme dort entstehen, wo es sie bislang nicht gab.
Die gemeinnützigen Bauvereinigungen haben grundsätzlich die Aufgabe, leistbaren Wohnraum für Menschen zur Verfügung zu stellen. In der Aktion zu Hause ankommen, mit der Möglichkeit auch letzte Hürden von Finanzierungsbeiträgen bis zu Umzugsunterstützungen aufzukommen, ist hier eine weitere Hilfe gegeben. Erfreulicherweise sind schon hunderte Wohnungen zur Verfügung gestellt worden und aus dem gemeinnützigen Sektor kommen täglich neue Kooperationsanfragen.
Wir sind nicht alleine und unsere Kinder auch nicht. Das ist das erste Mal, das bin ich frei.
Thank you so much. We are really thrilled and overwhelmed by this award. So this is really great. Yesterday I attended a workshop on Housing First, and one person said, it's time to stop managing homelessness, but to start ending it. And in fact, that's what we try through this project, Arriving Home, to start ending homelessness. In cooperation and together with the people that are mostly hit by the pandemic.
I want to emphasize it's about a strategic project working together with GBV and also with a lot of social services and funded by the Ministry for Social Affairs, but not only funded by the ministry, but we see them as a partner in crime in ending homelessness. And I'm very happy that today a representative of the ministry is with us today. And also part of the inspiration of this project was a project that was already happening in Vienna. And I'm very happy that we have a representative of Neunegma with us, who was kind of like the I want to say, the inspiring moment in producing such a project nationwide. And maybe, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Sorry.
Meine herzlichen Glückwünsche. It was a very important issue, and I think this is one of the issues. I was yesterday talking with 3 housing researchers about the issue of homelessness and how to, as you said, not to end it, but we need these new ways and new models and new understanding and this importance, and understand the importance of house, everything what we do and what people can do in their lives. So, but we of course we hear these successful stories, but you must have had some obstacles too. Everything haven't gone, I think, so smoothly as we now like to think.
Well, no, we didn't have any problems at all. No, of course, we had a few obstacles to overcome, and one of the main obstacles was the complexity of the project. As you said, it's kind of like a new project, never done like that, something like that before in Austria. And we've got GBV, we've got BAWO, we've got the Ministry of Social Affairs, but we've got now 50 housing associations, 38 have been replicated, but now 50 housing associations, 12 social services provider, 50 members at staff, and in 5 regions with 5 different legal frameworks, which is an Austrian speciality, I think. And we only had 3 months for the setup with processes, contracts, and everything else. So that was quite an obstacle. The second one was kind of, we call it the translation work. We needed a common understanding of the problems. On the one hand, the housing associations, on the other hand, the social services. And I think it's kind of like a mutual understanding and common rules of those were crucial for being successful.
Maybe one more obstacle that we had, it's from the principle in the limited profit housing sector, we are able to offer good and cheap rents. But there are still some difficulties at the beginning. There are barriers to enter the social housing market, especially when it comes to tenant upfront costs or moving costs. It might be just too expensive for the people in need. And there we had some extra funds by the Ministry of Social Affairs, and these funds help to overcome these entry barriers.
I think it's what you said, that many who has very little, but even these we might think that moving costs or something like that, that's easy part, but it's not. And in my work, I have been many times reminding people that it's not so easy. For example, maybe elderly people with low, very tiny pension to move smaller flat, even they would like to do that because of it's not very easy. And you have had so many partners in your project that whoever has been coordinating this has done a marvelous job, because it's exhausting, and keeping so many threads in your hands, it's absolutely huge achievement. And I think that's when people say that no, we can't take that many, now you can tell that yes, we can do it with many partners and we can make it great success. So what were the biggest immediate impact of the project?
I would say the biggest immediate impact is really on the lives of the beneficiaries. So the more than 500 people were allocated with 250 apartments. And that means not only a roof, but also a key, a rental contract on their own, and of course a perspective. And yeah, the majority were women. We saw the numbers at the end, and also a very high percentage of children that directly benefited of this project. And also it is a growing project. At the beginning, just a few housing associations participated, and there were more and more. So this is also an effect of the project, that more and more housing associations became partner in this project. And we hope that it's not the end. We are already planning a continuation of the project, and so that even more housing associations can join in.
Maybe a third impact, and that's about mainstreaming Housing First in Austria on a strategic level. And now we've got at least one project in every of the 9 regions in Austria already doing Housing First. So that's quite a success, we think. We do hope that we will be able to think of a strategy against homelessness for all of Austria based on the insights of this project.
Yeah, in fact, it's about bringing together people with homes, bringing together social service organizations with housing associations, and bringing together housing policy and social policy.
Indeed, very important aspects to bring together, and without that, it can't be. We can't find successful solutions for homelessness. So you mentioned already that you have plans for the future, but are they? Could you tell something more about them?
Yes, we can. Yes, the ministry already launched another call, and we already applied for another term, another year of the project. So hopefully this is going to work out. But there's also the regional level. Our partners are already working with the regional governments to implement similar projects on the regional level. So we're quite happy this is going a good way. And as we are in the European country of Housing First, of course, it's a big thank you to Finland for all the inspiration they give to us all over Europe. To end homelessness due to Housing First, not only during the pandemic, but also after the pandemic, because, you know, after the crisis is before another crisis normally in this world.
Thank you. Thank you. These actors need to come to Austria to see how you are doing it, because this huge number of actors working together sounds absolutely great. Thank you very much. Before I will close this award ceremony, we have one extra number, so please welcome.
Thank you. And the number? No, I'm not actually. I would ask Maria Montes, Vice President of Asociación de Vivienda Social, the Spanish member of Housing Europe, to come up. And Maria is going to continue a tradition that started in 2019. And I think if today, as Ben said at the start, I think it was very inspiring for the housing practitioners and gives a lot of hope also, as Michaela said, for the sector and for people. But it also makes people who are working and representing the sector like us at Housing Europe really proud to work to represent such a sector. And the reminder is that these are not startups. We saw a lot of social, financial, and all technical innovation this evening, but these are not startups. And often the problem in housing is that we have 4-year electoral cycles, and it's very hard to solve those. But actually, these organizations are very often over 100 years old. And this is why AOBS has started this tradition in 2019 to give a special mention for those organizations who have been innovating and responding for over 100 years. And that is what she is going to do right now. I give you this.
Welcome to this event. I speak on behalf of ABS, is the Spanish Social Housing Association. And can you hear me? Yes. Thank you. And this is a very special event for us. I hope that it will be also for you, because this is an event concerning the celebration of our sector. the celebration of our organization across Europe, the celebration of our organization through the century, we can say through the century. So we have heard before about inspiring stories. All of the crises and the stories concerning the crisis are inspiring stories. And I think that organizations who are 100 years old are really inspiring for us. So the social housing, the Spanish Social Housing Association is located, the headquarters is located in the wonderful city of Valencia. And wait a moment, please. I think I don't need my. The presence for the organizations, this small thing is named Socarrat. Please don't ask me for the translation of this word in English because I don't know. And it is an emblematic and typical thing that traditionally it was used for covering sailings and balconies in the city of Valencia and neighborhoods. And it's made by hand, and it's a very artistic thing. So you can see what we did. I think in this one, the present we are going to give to the organizations, and well, you can see how the process. People is painting and writing by hand all the words in this Socarrat, and the final result is, as you can see here. So it's champions time. So we are going to name. The first one is for Reggio Emilia. So congratulations, Marco, please. Here you are, your 100 years, 100-year-old present for you. Congratulations. Enhorabuena, Marco, enhorabuena.
For me, it was a surprise. I don't speak well English. For me, it was a surprise when I couldn't prepare the great presentation for I prepared with my colleague some word, not French in English, but some word for them. By moving the slide, Reggio Emilia is in the north of Italy. After the slide, this is our activity. Reggio Emilia has been a protagonist for 100 years in the history of the city and the province of Reggio Emilia, helped rebuild after the Second World War and a natural disaster, including the 2012 earthquake. Participated in the group by building social housing development to provide social housing during the 19th century or 18th century. For 20 years, it has been engaged in extensive urban regeneration program, which has led to the redevelopment of all social housing districts. For 15 years, we have expanded the housing offer to meet the different several needs due to growth, strong immigration, demographic change, and the attractiveness due to the economic growth and the development of university. Finish. We manage public and private accommodation. Since 2008, we have a social planning and management service, Margherita, for the creation of cohesive and supportive communities. Now we are working for the development of a network and proximity service with a social work and social cooperation. We are committed to making building energy efficiency and creating energy communities. A lot of innovation also comes from what we have learned, seen, shared in Housing Europe, because this Housing Europe for me is a network very, very important to share a problem, but also a solution. For the centenary, we took opportunity to prepare a memory of our history with book, video, photography, and involve the people that live our housing. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we keep on giving our chocolate for the next champion. This. This is Hervé from Brussels. Are you? Clap your hands, please.
Thank you very much. The name of the SLRB, BKHN, Brussels. So we are the Brussels Regional Housing Company. Okay, so we have several missions. We are there to advise, accompany, and control the local housing association on all levels. There is 17 different local housing associations in Brussels. We participate to the development of the sector in terms of construction, but also renovation of social housing. We are old, so we have some really old social housing to renovate and to evolve to a more climate performance houses. We are also there to support all policies pertaining to social action and social cohesion. It's really something important to us to have the social aspect into our housings. We are also the bank of the sector. They don't go to the private market to finance their project. We are there to finance them. And we are also there to develop studies and publication in order to encourage good practices throughout the platform where all the different local housing associations can share their several experiences. So Belgium is slightly complex sometimes. So we have the governments of the Brussels region. They are the SLRB, BKHN in Dutch. And then we have the local housing association, the tenants, and the prospective tenants. We have more people on the waiting list than people into a social housing, actually in Belgium, in Brussels, in Belgium also. So what is our key figures? So the surface of Brussels capital region is 162 square kilometers. We have 1.2 million inhabitants. We manage actually 400,000 social housing units. It's around 12% of the regional rental markets. Our budget last year was 402 million euro. And as I told, we are there with 16 local housing associations. We have actually more than 6,000 new housing units. We prefer housing units than dwellings under construction or plans. So we will extend our patrimonium. And last year we have renovated nearly 4,000 housing units. And so the history of Al Sarabi, it was founded at the beginning of the 20th century with the start of the municipal housing associations and tenant cooperatives. And in 1919, it was the foundation of the National Association for Dwellings and Affordable Housing. With the federalization of our country, the housing competence was transferred to the 3 different regions that we have in Belgium, Wallonia, Flanders, and Brussels. And so the SLRB, the HRM, was founded by laws in 1985. And we have added here 3 different big programs that we have. So the first one is the regional housing scheme that was launched in 2005. And the second one, the Housing Alliance. There are 2 really big investment programs that were there to create new housing, social housing. And then we have the brand new, 2 years ago, emergency housing plan that was launched by our actual government due to the housing crisis that we all know. And it's really a big plan to find creative and innovative solution to try to find housing and to lower the waiting list that is really huge in Brussels. That's it.
Thank you very much.
We are actually renovating our office building, so I hope that the project team will find a good place to put this on a wall.
Thank you. Our third and last awarded organization is Unión Social pour l'Habitat. Please clap your hands. And Plus Habitat and OPH.
So thank you, Andreas, for this nice presence. I'm just a messenger today, so I will give the present to this organization. I won't make a long speech because I think everybody would like to have a relaxed moment and have a drink outside. So I just would like to say to this organization to have a long life and long life to social housing. Thank you.
So this event will end very soon, but before that, I would like to thank our co-sponsor, European Investment Bank, and our bronze sponsor, Council of European Development Bank, for making this event possible. I also would like to thank the jury and all its members for their very valuable expertise and very hard work. and also all those who joined us today. And one more time, I would like to congratulate all the winners and all the finalists. You have done absolutely fascinating job. Thank you very much. And before you leave the room, there is something waiting for you, not just here, but outside too. So before you leave, please find the handbook with the 23 inspiring projects, the networking area. And after that, you will find a reception, and it's my pleasure to invite you all to join us behind those doors outside. Thank you. Go outside, and they are the finalists, the winners, and the jury. You need to stay here.
I got to the new picture now.
You have to. No, it's not. We are not Carone. We are a democratic egalitarian group. No discussion.
Here. Okay. Picture, please. Wait a sec.
You know, it's the operas, we're always doing choreography.
Ready? Ready? 1, 2. Okay. Great.
So now we can start.
Okay.